Greetings all, and welcome back to Globbits Gaming Channel. This is another one of my late night recordings to say sorry for not being here over the last week or two. And if you're watching this a few months in the future, forget what I'm saying, I've been awesome all the time. Right, we've got Adderwolf, Vlad, and 2000 Andre, and Di Derrickson in a platoon. Alright, but the main focus of this replay is on Adderwolf himself. Okay, he's in the T29. That has been well documented, and if you don't know already, this is my favourite tank in the game. Alright, for heavies anyway. Me, personally, pound for pound, the best tank in the game. It's just one of those tanks. It's at the end of a line of reasonably mediocre vehicles, and it's the first of the American tanks that gets one of these badass turrets. Alright, for those of you that don't know, alright, that turret from the front at tier 7 is pretty much impenetrable. Okay. There are a couple of weak spots, which there must be weak spots in every single vehicle. You should never get into a position in any game where you cannot penetrate a tank. Obviously, in this case though, as you know from my reviews, it's that little triangle above the gun manlet just there, see it, and the hatch itself. Yeah, the ears are not actually weak points, which catches out quite a few people. Now, the purpose of this replay, as you can see from the title, is target prioritization. This is something in the mid-stage, sorry, the early to mid-stage of the game that Adolf does really well. He's presented with a plethora of tanks. Which one do you shoot first? Well, we're going to get ourselves into position. I'm just going to speed the replay up while he gets into position. Now, the friendly team absolutely cripple these guys in the early stages. They obviously are taking a lot of hits. They kill quite a few tanks quite early. Now, what Adolf does here, this T20 is just in the wrong place, in my personal opinion. He hasn't got the turret for this kind of work, but we have, yeah. So we can just poke around the corner, just show our turret, pump one into him, yeah, and manage to get back in time. Yeah, we've got a jinkable ability, and the T20 realises this, yeah, and he's having none of it. Yeah, he's having absolutely none of it. He's saying, nope, not bothered, see you later, TTFN, catch you later, fellas. So, our plucky little T3485 decides, I know, I'm not going to be a medium tank today, I'm going to be a heavy tank, I'm going to drive around the corner first. Unfortunately, it takes the corner from Adderwolf, but he still managed to put a good shot into the VK3001D there. And, yeah, okay. What happened there then? Well, he got clicked on by an SU-152. 150mm cannon, I'm assuming, firing heat. And he one-shotted him. But it does provide us a nice little bit of hull-down cover. Unfortunately, the cover's not quite in the right spot for my liking. It's not quite in the right spot. So, later on we'll have to adjust this. Okay, but at the moment we've got some nice cover. As soon as that tank comes around the corner, yeah, all we're pretty much showing him is a little bit of side, a little bit of leg, show him a little bit of track. Alright, and just our turret, which is great. Now, BK comes around the corner. We realise, fuck that shit. Back off. BK, not as experienced. Driving outside on. Now, this is where target prioritization comes in. That SU-152, regardless of stats, has shown the ability that he knows what he's doing. He's a threat, okay? So this is where your target prior comes in. So we decide to push out the wreck a little bit so we can get around this corner and use the hull down strength of the vehicle. What I mean by hull down, I'll just re-emphasise. Alright, we're showing as little of our weak hull as we can. Alright, doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, they can get shots on it, but most of it is pretty much hull down. So we start working him over, even though other tanks are present. Okay, we take him out first. We want to prioritise him. T29, well, he's not a threat. He's stock. Okay, so he's not a problem. So we shoot the SU-152 because he's already demonstrated on our friends here ability to kick ass. So the SU's, yeah, that was a T29 firing. The SU's getting hit, and he's fired. SU's dead. Not a problem. We've got a side on Black Prince. Now, the Black Prince isn't looking at us, but for us, the T29 is not a threat. He's focusing on us, and the chances are he's not going to be able to do anything. However, he is, the Black Prince is putting effective fire onto the weaker tanks down there. Alright, this is my interpretation of it anyway. This is what I think Adderwolf was trying to do. Alright, he wants to help out his Churchill 1 friend and the KV-1 and the stock T29 on the far flank. He's not scared of that stock T29, which I believe, if my vision serves me correctly, has got one of the stock guns, either the 90 or the 76mm. He's not particularly a threat, so he's prioritising the Black Prince, because the Black Prince is the easiest damage. Okay, the T29, if there's nothing else to shoot at, shoot the T29 in the weak point. That was a perfect shot planted in the weak point. Yeah, if there's nothing else to do. But as soon as that Black Prince re-emerges, we switch priority. I'm going to shoot him again. Waste of a shot. Let's take the easy hits and the easy pressure and the easy damage on the Black Prince to allow us to, if he doesn't divert his attention, it's going to weaken him so that the other guys can actually shoot him. Again, we've got 2 tanks. Shoot the one that's side on. We're not prioritising threats here, we're just thinking about our teammates. We're trying to work for our teammates. And eventually, managed to take the guy out. Yeah, 300 damage solid, 295 solid damage, leaving him on a 1-shot. That will give the other guys a bit of a spur on, because what tends to happen, if a tank's at 400, 500 health, people don't want to drive around the corner. And this is one thing we're noticing in the team battles. Just go for it sometimes. But anyway, if they're a 1-shot, it might encourage them to go around. Now, this T29 dies almost instantly. Now, we've won this flank quite solidly. It's at this stage in the game then where I like to think about, right, where do I need to go next? You've got 2 choices. You can either consolidate back to base and defend against the other flank, which in this case isn't really a threat, or you can push on. In this case, we just need to mop these guys up first, though. I mean, a lot of games I've found where I get myself, I've won a flank, we've played an absolute rockstar game, but then the enemy just go and cap us. We can't get back. This T150 is fucked. Just doesn't know it yet. Yeah, so it's 11-10. It's still a pretty close game. They've still got a couple of tier 7s left, a couple of tier 6s, yeah, 2 of which are tank destroyers, one of which is an SU-152, and we already know how good they are. This Comet, yeah, we're sandwiched between 2 tanks. We prioritise the dangerous tank, the Comet first, side onto us, tracked, and then we can concentrate on the VK3001P. Yeah, target prioritisation. I can't even say that word. Ugh. But it is 1 in the morning when I'm recording this. At 3001P, I don't know the facts. What's your opinion on the 3001P? I've heard rumours it's pretty shit. I've never played it. I've done with my mid-tier Germans. But that was a really well-angled piece of frontal armour, and that gun went straight through it, even though this gun is really, really good. In case you don't already know it. Yeah, it's got 198mm of penetration. The tier 7 is better. Or it's comparable with some tier 8 guns. Tier 8 tanks. This gun is one you get on the T32. And that's a tier 8 heavy. But still, that angle. Now the VK3001D, ours, up the front there, he's on 13 health, and he's just way out of position. The KV1 and the T29 are doing something quite daft here. I don't think they've got XVM. So I don't think they can learn. They know the last position of enemy vehicles, which is kind of handy if you've got XVM this kind of stage in the game, so you can make a plan of where they were. And it saves one less thing to remember. So I'd also got a bit of a choice here: SU-152 and an ARL V39, 2 quite powerful tank destroyers. The SU especially, but he's just noticed that the SU has only got the 122mm gun. It's still a threat, but the derpy gun at this low health, this stage of the game, if he gets a derpy shot right in the hull, it could mean disaster. So what he's doing here is just being patient. He's not driving around the corner. He's just being patient until the opportunity arrives. As soon as the opportunity arrives, he takes his shot. Unfortunately, he donks it. Right, gets back, reloads in hard cover, and he's waiting for the heavies to roll up. He wants to work as a team, and in the late stages, guys, this is massively important. At this point, I think he's also considering maybe going down the middle road here, coming around them, but he decides to go back to the corner to sort of like just see if he can keep spots on them, just to see what he needs to do. And he's just going to wait. And this is the intelligent part of late stage gameplay, guys. Okay, you need to be able to recognise where your team are and think logically of how you can solve this problem, because he doesn't want to drive around this corner. The T29 is not a very good side scraping tank. It's not very good at all. The side armour is weak. Alright, and he attempts a little bit of side scraping here. Thankfully his tracks eat it. But this is a dangerous move this late stage of the game. If this tank, if the SU-152 there had the 152mm gun, I don't think he would have done that. But thankfully manages to shoot his track off, and that's all he manages to kill. So all that's left is the V39. We don't know what health he's on, so he could be, but we can take a hit now. We're not too worried. We can take a hit, so we can afford to be aggressive. And you need to keep an eye on your health pool when you're doing this, guys. Can I take a hit? If the answer is yes, you need to know the enemy tank's reload. Can I kill him before he kills me? And in this case, yes we can. Let's check that out in the post-game stats then, guys. So, what do we manage to get for our efforts then? Well, we got a mastery badge. In this tank, that's not a bad effort. That's not a bad effort. It doesn't show all the little badges like I mentioned in a couple of other videos. I wish it would. Steel wall, high caliber, top gun. So that's basically being a badass. Those 3 medals mean you're being a badass. You're taking hits and give no shits. Lots of damage done to the enemy team, so you're dishing out the damage, and you've managed to kill 6 enemy tanks. But in this case, yeah, we damaged quite a few others as well. All right, the ones that we damaged, yeah, they got taken out by somebody else, unfortunately. Okay, so on the team score then, requires you 1700 base experience, ladies and gentlemen. That is not bad at tier 7. That is a high mark, all right, to have to get aimed for to get a mastery badge. And this just shows you how potent and how deadly this tank really is. And that's how I rate vehicles. How hard is it to get a mastery badge? If it's hard, the tank's good. If you're in a Stirrer Mill, for example, all you have to do is hit 3 shots in a row and you pretty much get a first class mastery badge because the Stirrer Mill is a pile of shit. This thing, however, wow, you need 1700 experience. Now, if you're first starting out in your career, it's going to be very difficult to get this. If this is your first tier 7, which it was mine, it took me eons to get a mastery badge in this thing. 5,200 damage. 1,000 blocked by armor, which only just, you lucky fucker, only just managed to get you a steel wall. You need 1,000 damage and you got 1,010, but fair play to you. Yeah, 22 hits, 19 pens. With this gun, yeah, that's the kind of stats you're going to get with this tank. This tank for me, apart from hull armor and mobility, it's got pretty much everything I like in a tank. It's got gun depression, it's got a heavy, strong armored turret, it's got a decent punchy gun. Alright, and I think this tank can really punch above its weight. But enough singing and dancing. Managed to make 47,000 credits as well. Yeah, I've got another replay I'm going to show you. It's pretty much going to upload it shortly after this one. Of another T29 replay. So I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye now.